Hello, I'm Tiffany Williams with the Coalition of Texans with Disabilities.
And I'm Jackie Benestante with the Autism Society of Texas. You may have already watched our first two videos where we discussed the legislative process in detail. And now you may be wondering, at what point in the legislative process would it be beneficial for you to be advocating? And Tiffany is going to fill us in on that.
Yeah, so Jackie, the answer to that question is really every step of the way. During the interim, it is a good time to build relationships with the representative that's in your district and help them learn the issues that are important to you and that affect your family. And when the legislative session begins in January of every odd year, that would be the time to educate the new members who recently got elected on the issues that are important to you. So bills are able to be filed from November to March. And so you're able to start tracking legislation before the session even begins. You could even choose to be a part of the bill drafting process. So working with the legislators that you built relationships during the interim, and perhaps even the new ones, if they're going to be working on issues that are important to you, chances are they're going to be writing bills that will affect you and your community. And the hope is that because you've built those relationships, you will be able to be a part of that bill drafting process, making sure the language that's in the bill is something that will benefit your community. So bill tracking is something you kind of do throughout the session because obviously bills are going to be moving through the committee process and the chamber process. So Jackie, what are some ways that your organization tracks legislation or notifies their membership of bills that are important to them?
So one thing that we use that's free and available to everyone is Texas Legislature Online. We will, at the beginning of the session, just make sure we have hearing alerts set for finance, appropriations, education, health and human services, and any of those things that kind of affect funding or disability issues, autism issues. And then we'll set up bill alerts as well. And then at the beginning of every week, I will send out hearing alerts. And so we have an advocacy email list that anyone can join, and at the beginning of every week I'll review what's coming up and try to tell people like, hey, there's a public education bill, this is going to be really beneficial for special education, please come in and testify. So we'll try to give a little brief sentence about what the bill is about and whether we're for or against it and how you can respond. And then a lot of other organizations do similar things, so I'll also look and see what's everybody else in the disability community working on. How can we help each other? And sometimes I'll share other people's information if it's also beneficial for us. And so probably getting in kind of on an email list or following organizations on Facebook and social media, Twitter is a good way to keep up with what's going on.
Great. So it sounds like there's a lot of different ways that you can stay involved and figure out where your bill is throughout the process.
Mm-hmm.
You can have your own account on TLO, as we call it, or subscribe to an organization that's kind of doing all this tracking information work already.
Mm-hmm.
So after bills are filed, they start being referred to a committee, which is a great time to introduce yourself to the committee clerk and the members of that committee. So committee offices are separate than the legislator's office, and they all exist what we call in committee land, which is on level E2 of the Capitol. And if you're not able to be in Austin and visit these offices, you're always able to make a phone call and introduce yourself. So this could be a good time to let the committee members and the committee staff know the issues that are important to you and the bills that might be coming their way that will impact you and your community. You'll also have the opportunity to let the committee staff know how a bill impacts you once that bill is posted for a hearing. And you can choose to testify on, for, or against a bill once it's posted for a hearing. And it's a good idea to communicate your position with the members and the author so that they're not caught off guard by the stance that you take in the hearing. There's a chance that the author of the bill could have changed language in it and filed a substitute that actually addressed your concerns before it even comes up for a hearing. But the office needs some time to do that and submit that language to Ledge Council and get it back in time for it to be heard. So it's appropriate to make sure they have the time to do that. So if you see that the bill, once it's heard, is lacking the votes to make it out of that committee, it could be time to rally the troops, send out some communication efforts to your membership Jackie, I'm sure you guys do this in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, we do. We use our advocacy email list a lot because then I know that that's people that really are interested in advocacy, and they're pretty dedicated to, like, you know, pushing whatever, you know, whatever issues coming up. And we just try to provide as much information as possible. Usually we put it on our website, tell people what the bill is, what the action item is, usually a sentence or so, like, please ask Congressman, you know, sorry, that's federal, you know, representative, whoever to support, you know, House bill, and we'll give you the number, emails, addresses, all the stuff that you'll need. And we'll put that on social media, we'll, you know, Twitter, Facebook, email alerts, and then we'll really try to get those bills kind of pushed in the way that we need them to go to support our community.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if you were part of the testimony kind of experience for the committee, the advocacy work is not done. So if the bill is voted favorably out of the original committee, then it's sent to the calendars committee. And this is a group of people that decide if this bill is going to make it onto the House floor or the Senate floor, depending on where it's currently living. And they're the ones that give a date. And so it's important that you let the calendars committee know too, what your position is on the bill. It's not just the original committee that it comes out of. And if the bill is voted favorably on the floor, then it's time to repeat your advocacy efforts on the other side of the chamber. So if it makes it through the House process and gets voted favorably out of the House floor, then it will go on over to the Senate and vice versa, and it's time to go through the committee process all over again. It's a lot of educating members and their staff on how important the bill is to you and how it affects your family.
So in review, you can be building relationships with legislators really anytime, but the interim session, so that's when the Texas legislature is not meeting, that is a really good time to go and meet your legislators in your home office, but you can also come during session as well. Educate them on important issues, so whatever impacts you and your family. And then when session arrives, you'll already have those connections and kind of know those people in those offices. You can be part of the bill drafting process before the bill filing deadline, which is usually around the first week of March. You can make office visits when a bill is up for a hearing. You can testify. You can either submit written testimony as well if you're here in Austin. You can also email the committee members or the bill author and let them know how you're feeling about a certain bill or an issue. Then you can also follow up with the voting offices, and then once it moves, as Tiffany mentioned, once it moves all the way through one side, for example, if it's completed in the House, it'll go through the same process in the Senate again, and so you'll have to repeat your advocacy efforts.
Absolutely. So we'll be posting some online resources for you. If you'd like to create your own account on Texas Legislature Online and track legislation that's important to you, you'll be able to do that. So thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you.